Well, welcome to Let's Talk with Washington Informer News. It's Friday, December the 8th, and we appreciate you watching today. I'm Denise Rollard Barnes, publisher of the Washington Informer, and counting down the days till Christmas. Can you believe it's only, what is it, Chevy? 17 days? 17 days before Christmas. But, I like to say 18 days before Kwanzaa. I like that celebration as well. So I hope that you all are getting ready. We have a lot to bring to you today, but I also want to remind you that Busy Bee is having her holiday gift show this Saturday and next Friday and Saturday. I hope I get the dates right. This Saturday, next Saturday, and then the following Friday and Saturday. So you do have some opportunities, which I hope we are all considering to buy Black during the holidays, making sure we put our money where it counts and finding some of those gifts that are keepsakes that we can share with family and friends throughout the year. I hope you've had a chance to pick up a copy of the Washington Informer. Always like to show you the fact that we've got the print edition out on the streets again this week. We are so happy to serve our readers in the DMV. And I don't know if you all have noticed, and I'm not saying this with any glory or pride, but the fact that a lot of the reporters over at the Washington Post are on strike. And if you read the Washington Post, yesterday's paper and today, you'll see that a lot of the reporters' bylines are not there. And that's intentional. It's not that they, just have some random copy that they produced that writer did not write. The reporters are actually protesting. There's a whole lot going on over there, and it's reflective of what's going on in the industry in general. And I am just feel so blessed that we have a solid readership and supporter base for those of you who watch WIN TV, who are watching Let's Talk, who read the Washington Informer, who follow us on our social media channels, who signed up for our email newsletter, that you all are continuing to support us, because that makes a difference. And we don't want your support just to have it. We really want it so that we can continue to tell our story through our lens to our community in the way that we think our community wants to receive it. And so that's what WIN TV is all about. So I hope you'll pick up a copy of the Washington Informer on newsstands throughout the DMV. And if you're not in the DC area, you can read the digital edition online at washingtoninformer.com. That's our website, washingtoninformer.com. And if you go to the website, you have an opportunity to subscribe to our weekly, or I should say our WIN Daily, which is our daily newsletter. There, we have a couple of other offers for you. So we hope you'll take advantage of that. Your support means so, so much to us. And we, like I said, always want to thank you for being a part of the Washington Informer Network. While you're watching today, please share this broadcast on all of your social media platforms. If you're watching on Facebook, be sure to share the broadcast and follow us on IG, X, formerly known as Twitter, Threads, Nextdoor, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Don't miss out, because we are in all of those places and spaces and sharing information that we hope you can use. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Washington Informer TV. No spaces, just Washington Informer TV. And we certainly do appreciate that as well. If you're a subscriber to our network, you can join Washington Informer for a day at the movies. Oh, this is an announcement. I don't want to run through this too quickly. I want you to hear this. You can join us for a day at the movies to see The Color Purple. It's coming out. There's some screenings happening all over the city, and the Washington Informer is really excited to be one of the organizations that will be screening The Color Purple on Tuesday, Tuesday, December the 17th, I think it is, but it's Tuesday after next. So at the Alamo Theater here in DC on Rhode Island Avenue, Tuesday the 19th at the Alamo Theater on Rhode Island Avenue Northeast. I haven't been to that theater, but I heard it's really nice, and they serve food and all kinds of stuff. I don't know how they do that in the middle of a movie. It sounds distracting to me, but I'm going to find out, and I hope that you'll want to find out by joining us. We will be giving away tickets on this show, but we'll follow us and you'll get more details about the screening. So at the end of the broadcast, if you put a comment in our comment section and put hashtag color purple, we will announce you at the end of the show and look forward to having you join us on the 19th of December to see the color purple at the Alamo. Now, Brenda Seiler, our lifestyle reporter, actually had a chance to see it, to preview the film. She wouldn't give me any details because she told me it's embargoed. So, but she said, you know, there are lots of highlights, some things that you would not expect. She said it's very good. So that's all I can tell you. So we'll all be seeing it together at the same time. So I'm looking forward to that. Our guests today are Sharrarne Morton, the visionary behind the immensely successful Backdoor Society. Black Door Society. Thank you, Chevy. Black Door Society. You know, we don't have to go through the back door anymore. And Sharron's going to make sure we understand that. But the Black Door Society, and Tiana Ligon, the Chief Financial Officer of Women Elevating Women. Sharrarne and Tiana will be here to talk about how important it is for Black businesses, Black women in business, to form partnerships and collaborations to scale their businesses. And they're also going to talk about the partnership between the two organizations. Collaborations are important. They're key in this day and time. A lot of times we look at each other as competitors or whatever you may say, but collaborations are the mix that help businesses to really excel. I'm looking forward to also talking to Aneka Winstead. She's the brilliant mind behind Watt Business Solutions, and she's going to give us some key strategies to help us be perfectly primed for the upcoming tax season. And last, but certainly not least, I'm so excited to have Kayla Benjamin, our Washington Informer environmental reporter, to talk to us about a big story she did this week on the DC emissions test site located in Kenilworth Park that was done without proper approval. Kayla knows how to find those stories, to talk about environmental justice issues, particularly issues that impact Black and Brown people. And so I'm glad that she did that, and she's going to give us some details about that. So don't go away, because right now we're going to have our weekly news broadcast by our reporter, Curtis Knowles.
This is WIN TV News, bringing you the news that matters. A house in Arlington, Virginia exploded Monday night only minutes after police posted on social media about a suspect setting off a flare gun inside the home. Around 4:45 p.m., Arlington County Police responded to the 800 block of North Burlington Street for reports of shots fired. In their initial investigation, officers determined from nearby residents that a suspect discharged the flare gun 30 to 40 times from inside his home into the neighborhood. The search warrant was issued in relation to reports of the flare gun, though it is not known if the suspect also has firearms that was fired at officers when they entered the house. D.C. Mayor Bowser, the D.C. Department of Employment Services, and the technology company Eightfold AI have launched a Career Ready DC, a new artificial intelligence matching technology platform that will assist district residents with getting matched to employment opportunities across the region. Mayor Bowser commented saying, quote, "The benefits of Career Ready DC are twofold. It will provide residents with the ability to find a position based on their unique skills, and it will provide our employers with a pipeline of strong candidates." As we explore the benefits and uses of artificial intelligence and how we can harness AI technology to streamline services, we are excited about this new opportunity to support residents by making their job search more efficient and equitable. Monday saw the convergence of many on room G9 at the John A. Wilson Building to commemorate the introduction of the Universal Out-of-School Time Amendment Act introduced by D.C. Councilmember Matt Fruman, which would mandate universal access to affordable before and after school, school break, and summer programming for district public and public charter school students, including those living east of the Anacostia River by 2035. Jackie Carter, a member of the coalition that helped shape the Universal Out-of-School Time Amendment Act, said, quote, "Our program is an after-school job, and children depend on it. It's important to provide that upliftment for staff and students as we create more seats with more money. We need some recognition of these children, where they live, and the grassroots organizations that serve them."
Thank you, Curtis, for those updates. And one of the shows that we're going to do pretty soon, I'm looking forward to talking to our education reporter. He's our everything reporter, Sam Collins, only because I think you all may have heard in other news broadcasts this week about the alarming numbers of young people in the District of Columbia who have been truant, who aren't going to school. And I don't know. I think it's something that we as a community need to find a way to address because, it's apparently so far in the district a safe place for our kids to be during school hours, and it's just not a good deal for kids not to be in school, and for parents to allow them not to be in school and not being educated at home. I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, and we'll get Sam Collins on to have this conversation as we go into the new year. But we as a community cannot sit by, see young people on the street during school hours, and at least not inquire, are you headed to school? Are you in school? I mean, and most times when I've had that encounter, they have a response, and but if nothing else, it just shows that you care. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But anyway, as I mentioned earlier, Sharrarne Morton is the founder of Black Door Society, and Tiana Ligon is the Chief Financial Officer of Women Elevating Women. And I am welcoming them here to Let's Talk today to talk about their partnership and how they can help women entrepreneurs. And I'm just going to say before we get started, I have been in this business, as you know, Sharrarne, with working with my dad and now myself, publisher of the Washington Informer. Hey, I mean, probably now 40 years, right?
Right.
Do I still need help? Yes. I do. So I am so excited to have the both of you all on the show. Welcome to Let's Talk.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yes, my pleasure. My pleasure. I want to talk first about the mission and goals of Women Elevating Women. How do you support entrepreneurs, Tiana?
Yes, great question. So Women Elevating Women just birthed out of the existence of wanting to help women entrepreneurs that were feeling stuck at that 7-figure mark to really scale and put their businesses on the path to scale to 7 figures. And so what we do is we really, through our 5 pillars of success, we have a program built around putting our members on that path, providing them with access to opportunities, access to those resources, accesses to strategic introductions in a peer advisory setting, while also building the community that it takes to really leverage one another to be able to scale.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And so what kind of programs do you provide for these women? What do you do to, help them?
Yeah, great question. So right now, Women Elevating Women, we are a membership-based organization, and we have 5 different membership levels. And through the membership levels is where we bring the programming. So we bring in keynote speakers, industry experts, our CEO advisors, our advisory council members. And these are women that are already doing the multi-millions in business. So they're doing the $200, the $300 million business. So it's giving our women platform and access to be in the room, to be able to learn how they did it, what challenges did they come up against, and how can we learn from that. And so our 5 pillars of success is courage, connection, cultivating that next generation, having the communication. How are you communicating your brand? And so we use those 5 pillars to really build our programming, whether it's through our Woo Pillar meetings that we put on, where our members have the opportunity to present and showcase their strengths and their businesses and how they contribute to the overall ecosystem, all the way to giving them access to opportunities with our partners like Black Door Society, the Women Presidents Organization, giving our members to access to that platform, which is where we help our women to scale, to become members of, because you have to be at 7 figures to be a member of WPO. So we're putting our women on that path. We're giving them access to the room. We're giving them access to resources, opportunities. It's the access, it's the community, and it's the intent to really put them on that path to scale.
It sounds really, really fantastic. And so, you mentioned Black Door Society. Sharrarne, tell us a little bit about what Black Door Society is.
So Black Door Society is sort of like Women Elevating Women. Most of our members are at the lower six-figure spectrum, and they are trying to scale to seven figures. We call ourselves the good old Black Girl Network because we unapologetically leverage favoritism by solely recommending contracting opportunities, hiring, financially supporting the businesses and wealth goals of our members and their families only. We're a membership organization as well. And we basically connect high profile women of color to other high profile women of color in order to open doors and have access to higher opportunities that increase wealth and build legacy. And so I just started Black Door Society 2 short years ago, and it has just become super successful. There's definitely a need out there for women of color, especially to know the right people, to have access to the right rooms. And with Black Door Society and Women Elevating Women, they are getting that. I was started BDS, Black Door Society, 2 years ago. A year ago, I joined Women Elevating Women. We partnered this year, and I am now offering my members dual membership to both Black Door Society and Women Elevating Women so that they can have double the access to opportunities and, 2 and 3 and 4x their businesses.
That's one of the things that, you asked one of the questions, answered one of the questions I was going to ask, but it's about the issue of collaboration too, and partnering.
Right.
And as I said before, oftentimes, and I've had to learn this too, that people go into business and think they can do it on their own.
Right.
That, there's more of a competition as opposed to understanding the value of collaboration. And with these two, with what you all have done with the two of your organizations by partnering, can you talk about what that means for the women who are in either one of your organizations? I mean, what is this partnership added to the value that you bring to women?
You want to start, Tiana?
Sure. It just brings, more access. So just more access to opportunities to leverage, within the ecosystem in one community. So we're bringing together two communities to double, the amount of resources, the amount of access and opportunities that we're extending to our membership organization. Not only that, our members, they're also, they're elevating one another. Right. And so having the opportunity, so we provide peer advisory learning groups for our members to scale and learn from the challenges that other members may have experienced. And so they're not repeating those same mistakes. So this partnership provides us with a more reach, right? And how can we touch more women and impact more women? So the biggest thing that we're driving with this partnership is the impact that we can both cover with both communities.
And if I can, I'd like to give a specific example. So when I joined Women Elevating Women, I got so much immediate access to so many, like Tiana said, 30, 50, $100 million, $200 million women, and in rooms where they were sharing information on how they became successful, how they became 8 and 9 figure women. I also met other women who led other organizations. So for instance, I met 2 dynamic women who started an organization called Certified Access. And because of Women Elevating Women, I met these ladies, Shantara and Camille, at Certified Access. And now Certified Access is teaching the women in Black Door Society how to become certified to bid on federal contracts. But it's not a long, drawn out certification process. We actually learn and get certified in 8 hours. Normally it takes, 6 months, a year. It costs thousands of dollars. There's tons of red tape. Well, they have offered us and have given us a streamlined way to get certified so that we can begin to bid on contracts. And we all know that that's one of the ways that you scale your businesses. Not only do we bid on contracts, but we subcontract that work to each other in our organization. So we give first dibs to, we call each other sisters, to our Black Door Society sisters, to these contracts. So if I get $1 million contract and I want to subcontract $200,000 out, I do that or offer that $200,000 to one or two Black Door Society sisters. So not only am I gaining wealth and scaling my business, they are too.
Well, I'm just going to say, I think, what's her name? Oh, I was going to say something I thought was really kind of it'll come to me in a minute, but I think the ancestors would be excited to hear what you all are doing, because this is something that, folks have been talking about for quite some time, about how we collaborate. And then, the thing about government contracting, if I'm not mistaken, but at least, we've got something in our favor, because, and I want to find out if this really makes sense to you, particularly you, Tiana. One, the federal government, cannot discriminate. That you get points sometimes for being Black, for being female, for being in certain communities, and how to access those dollars is one thing. Then trying to get through the door on the corporate side, because regardless of all these, what do you call it, zeros or numbers, you're saying, 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, we're still low on the totem pole when you talk about the amount of money that's being spent with businesses, particularly Black women and Black women-owned businesses. So I guess where I'm going here is, there's the government side, but the corporate side. And how are you all being kind of brought into both of those communities? And are people really listening to what you're doing and opening doors for you?
That's a great question. And so, we have many members that are in that government contracting space. And so similar to what Sharrarne had mentioned, our women within our community are oftentimes collaborating, but also outside of that, we have additional partners, that we work with that are in that government contracting space, or have partners with those corporations and government agencies. So we recently were at the NMNSDC conference that was recently in Baltimore, and we did host the National Minority Supplier Diversity Council Conference, where we were a part of Founders First, hosted a mini workshop on funding and having that access to capital. So we were constantly working on partnerships to provide access to capital and access to opportunities and resources, whether it's in the government contracting or corporate space. Me myself, I am a product of Women Elevating Women. I am the founder and CEO of Swerve Financial Group, which was birthed out of the existence of just being in the ecosystem and seeing so many women do it themselves. And so I do facilitate the cohort program. So with my background in finance, I am able to provide those insights to our members that come through WU. Also, just through the scholarship program that I'm working with Women Elevating Women on the Swerve Her Elevation Scholarship, we're partnering to select 2 women to give them that strategic planning that they need, whether it's, providing them with opportunities to access to capital. We have partners with the JP Morgan Chase that sponsored our conference, and they're constantly just dropping resources in our laps to offer to our members. So, we're constantly seeking new resources, new opportunities, new partnerships and relationships to further our mission of providing those access to capital opportunities or contracting opportunities to our members.
Mm-hmm. Sharrarne, I'm curious, what are some of the biggest hurdles that or maybe 1 or 2 biggest hurdles that you find that women entrepreneurs are facing, and that you all try to address? You see it and you know that this is something we need to really focus in on.
Well, I think the number one answer is, like Tiana mentioned, is access to capital, keeping their doors open. And only way they can do that is if they do have access to capital. And the only way to get access to capital is to know who has the money and who's willing to give you that money so that you can keep your doors open, so that you can, in fact, scale. And that's one of the reasons why women should join organizations like Black Door Society and Women Elevating Women, because we show them how to have and get access. We introduce them, like Tiana said, to the people that do have the capital and who are willing to give the capital to these women of color specifically, because we know how difficult it is not just to be an entrepreneur, but to be a Black female entrepreneur. And so we make certain that we offer webinars. We, put women in these rooms where the folks with the capital are. We work a lot with banks, just like Tiana says. Women Elevating Women has a special relationship with JP Morgan Chase Bank. So do we here at Black Door Society. We continue to explore more partnerships and initiatives and sponsorships that support female entrepreneurs, because we know the bottom line is the money. That's what's keeping our members' doors open. And so we want to make certain that that continues.
So I was thinking of Maggie Walker, the first Black woman in America to open a bank there in Richmond, Virginia. And of course, Madam C.J. Walker, the hair entrepreneur and hair products businesswoman. So, I mean, those are women who succeeded against the odds. And there's so many more out there as well. And before I ask and get information from you on how women can be a part of Women Elevating Women, as well as Black Door Society, I asked this rhetorically, but, is George Floyd dead? And I asked that question because, a lot of doors opened when we kept his name alive. Mm-hmm. And we don't talk about him anymore. And corporate America is kind of and I guess this is more of a question for you because, the doors swung open when folks realized the racial tension that existed in this country and what we always knew was the case, but had not been put in our faces until we saw that incident. And so as long as we kept kept his name alive, it seemed as though the doors stayed open. Now that we're not talking about him and we're accepting the fact that he's no longer with us, are the doors closing on Black entrepreneurs?
That question is for both of us?
Either one. Yeah, both or either. I'm just curious. It's just something that's been heavy on my heart. And, I know because of that.
I can answer that.
Go ahead, Tiana.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that the doors are closing for Black entrepreneurs. I think the doors are there, the doors are open, but a lot of us don't know about the doors that they need to walk through. And it's the organizations and the partnerships like Black Door Society and Women Elevating Women that are just really demystifying where those doors are and where to find those opportunities. There's so many grants that are out there for Black women, Black entrepreneurs, with organizations such as JP Morgan Chase and other organizations that are out there, but we just don't have the access or the wherewithal to even know where to begin to gain that access. And so we were very intentional about just providing that information and how do you get access to those opportunities. It's about knowing when those opportunities are even available. A lot of us just don't know. And I think that is the biggest barrier when it comes to Black entrepreneurs, of just not knowing what rooms they need to be in to even get the answers to start to know.
Right. And I think that the information has always purposely been kept from Black folks because, people were not excited about us opening our businesses and being successful. And like you said, during that George Floyd period, that's when we did start to see a lot of doors open. But I think there's always been a scarcity of opportunities for Black people, Black women, business owners especially. But I think now that networks like ours, Black Door Society and Women Elevating Women, we proactively create opportunities for ourselves. We have women in our organizations who do have access to those opportunities that may have been hidden from the average entrepreneur. And that's why you have to know people, you have to collaborate, you have to partner. Another important thing that I forgot to mention is it's very important to have a mentor, a mentor who can guide you, who's already stepped on those landmines and can tell you how to get around them, a mentor who can help you get into those rooms and introduce you to the people that do have access to those opportunities. And so, I think Tiana and I, representing our organizations, we understand the value of our partnership. We understand what we're doing in terms of helping Black entrepreneurs. So no matter how or what comes along, and, Black Lives Matter was, it was the it term, and now maybe it's not, but we know that we are concerned about entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs' lives matter, especially women of color. And we want to be certain that we're always here for them and we always are providing access to those opportunities.
Well, I love it. I love it. I love it. I just want to, if you can just say, how can any woman that's listening that wants to be a part of either of your organizations, how can they join? And is there an entry, is it a fee that they have to pay, or how do they become a part?
Sure. So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'll let you talk about just the dual membership that we have.
Yeah, well, with Black Door Society, it is invitation only because we want women who are all about helping one another, not just themselves. We believe that when one woman wins, all women win. And so we only accept women who we know are all about elevating other women. And we have a process. We do an interview. We really vet our women before they come into Black Door Society. And once they come in, there is a membership fee, and they are offered the opportunity to do dual membership, both Black Door Society and Women Elevating Women, because we do, again, want them to have access to as many opportunities as possible. So we just had I think 6 or 7 brand new Black Door Society members who also opt to do a dual membership with Women Elevating Women. So it's really exciting, right, Tiana?
It is. You're right. It's about 6 or 7. And so what Sharrarne didn't mention is that Black Door Society members, they actually get a 10% discount across the board on all of our membership levels, starting from $2,000 all the way up until to $5,700. So that's definitely, just the relationship, the partnership. It's been fruitful, and we're just glad that we're able to welcome our new Black Door Society sisters to the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Well,
and we also take executives as well. So not just entrepreneurs, but executives, which again gives you that access to those opportunities and holding them and the corporations accountable.
I love it, especially that part, holding the corporation accountable. Right. There's a militancy in me that's going here because, I get really so tired of hearing what we're not doing.
Right.
And you all are addressing those issues and you're recognizing what the barriers have been. But, you're just kind of kicking them out the way with either your heels or your flats, either way.
Our stilettos.
Exactly.
We're kicking open doors.
And I've just got to use a quote that one of our viewers just put here, James Wright. He said, when Black women do business with each other, mountains move. Yeah. So I see a lot of great things coming out of each of your organizations, as well as the partnership, the collaboration that's going to benefit Black women entrepreneurs. And I think we're the fastest growing group of business people in the country, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct.
Yeah.
Yes. You are correct. Yes.
So, we don't need to do this. We don't need to go alone as we explore business and try to grow our businesses. And particularly when we got, sometimes naysayers in the background that say, what you trying to do? I'm trying to become a successful entrepreneur. And I've got a team of women supporting me. So
that's right. And it feels so good because there's always this rumor or something that goes around that Black women don't help each other, Black women are always fighting and bickering, and that is not the case. We are out here helping one another to elevate. We believe in helping one another. And so I think Black Door Society and Women Elevating Women, that's all we're about.
Right. Well, Sharrarne, it's really great to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And Tiana, so happy to meet you. And
you as well.
To learn about what you powerful women are doing among powerful women. So hope to see you again. And
Can we give you our website? Can we give you our website real quick?
Oh, please. Well, we've been posting it, but go ahead, please.
Good. Okay. It's blackdoorsociety.org. You can find out all the information you'd like, blackdoorsociety.org. Tiana?
And it's wewcrew.com, WEWcrew.com.
Right. Okay. As you've been talking, we've been putting it at the bottom of the screen. So I'm glad you asked, just to bring that to everybody's attention. Ladies, thank you so very much. And my success in the we're going to do more in 2024. That's my new thing, right?
Yeah.
2024. All right.
2024.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yeah. All righty. Thanks, James, for those comments, and thanks, Robert Bush and Pamela Gordon, for joining the show, as well as our superstar fan, Michael Lassiter. I'm Von Lassiter. So glad to have you on, and to join me in welcoming our next guest, Aneka Winstead, owner of Watt Business Solutions, a company that offers bookkeeping, accounting, tax planning, tax preparation, and business formation for everybody. So welcome to Let's Talk, Aneka.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Denise.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Now, where are you located?
We are in the Baltimore area. However, we operate as a virtual firm, so we service businesses everywhere.
Well, we are at the end of the year. That's good to know. We're at the end of the year, and we wanted to make sure that people close out 2023 in a way that they won't have to pay for it in 2024. So we were so glad that you were able to join us to talk about some of the things that we need to be looking at besides, eating and drinking and being merry for the next couple of weeks and going into January. So what advice would you give us? I mean, like right off the top of your head right now.
Right off the top of my head, for my business owners, my advice to you is to get into an accounting system. If you haven't been in one, and I'm talking about such as like QuickBooks, get into that system, because it's going to be the difference between you being able to write off the expenses that you took this year and not being able to. It is going to make sure that you are aware of where all your monies came from, because sometimes businesses don't send out 1099s. These merchant systems don't send them out to you. So make sure that you are aware of where your income came from this year, also where your expenses and where your outgoing cash flow was going this year as well.
You mentioned QuickBooks, for example, and accounting systems. It's hard to believe that people aren't doing that. I guess they're back now doing the column book or whatever that thing's called. Like we used to do. But at the end of the year, so what should they be pulling together? I mean, what are the documents that you should have?
Yeah, so for my individual taxpayers, we're going to pull together any W-2s you may have. We want all the retirement documents that you have. If you have any IRAs, 401ks, Roth IRAs, you should be expecting those things in the mail. Any 1098s, this is something that a lot of my parents forget. If you have kids that are in college and you are paying some of their tuition, pull that out. Make sure the schools are sending it to you, because your kid is not going to make sure you get it. So make sure the school is sending it to you so you can get that education credit. It's also from the mortgage companies. They also send you a 1098, so you can deduct that mortgage interest on your home.
Wonderful. And are there any new things that we need to consider? Any new deductions? Any new credits? You mentioned tax credits before. Anything new that we maybe didn't have last year that we will be able to take advantage of this year?
So the new things are just increasing amounts in what already exists. So there are not too many changes. So we have the standard deduction amounts, they're increasing. We have the earned income tax credit, it's increasing. One thing I did notice that was kind of exciting is that the fringe benefit that is usually offered, the fringe benefits, one of them is parking. So maybe your employer pays for parking for you. That benefit increased from $20 to $300. So that was great. So that is something that you would have been able to take advantage of during the year, not necessarily, write it off at the end of the year, because you can't write off fringe benefits, but making sure that you are aware of those benefits throughout the year that you're taking advantage of.
As well. Time about the parking. Say that again. What
so,
is it?
So it's a fringe benefit. Sometimes your employer offers you those fringe benefits. It can be by way of parking. They pay for parking for you, or maybe they pay for a gym service, or anything like that. So it used to be $20, but they've increased it to $300. And so that is something that taxpayers would have been able to take advantage of throughout the year, not so much something they have to worry about claiming at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. And, last year, I can't remember why, maybe it was COVID or something, but the filing date was extended. When do our taxes need to be paid next year?
Yeah, so if it's not so much it was April 15th, unless the 15th is falling on a weekend, then it will be that following Monday. So last year, I believe it was either the 17th or the 18th, because the 15th fell on a weekend or holiday. And so it's usually pushed that way. States will usually extend it sometimes based off of what's going on in that state. Like if they have some things that's going on, they'll give their residents some extra time. Maryland in the last 2 years have given residents some extra time till June. But I don't foresee, they have not made it clear whether or not we don't have any reason to extend the date as of right now. However, they can do that up until the filing date.
A lot of people take various routes to get their taxes prepared. I mean, everybody from senior citizens that might use AARP, which has a free tax filing program, to, the corner tax preparer, and the amounts that people have paid to get their taxes prepared can, like I said, range from zero to big numbers. Is there anything that you can advise folks? There was a tax company, and I won't mention the name, but recently I guess was prosecuted by the local attorney general here in the District of Columbia for some fraudulent activities. How do you know that you've gone to a credible tax preparer? And when it comes to fees, is there anything that one should consider or should they ask first before they walk in that door?
Absolutely. So a red flag would be that they're basing their fees off of how much you're receiving back in a refund. Mm-hmm. That is actually not ethical in our industry. You cannot do that. You cannot base your fees off of the refund of someone else, right? And so the fees should be pretty much consistent. If that's one red flag. If you come in and say, hey, listen, if we get you back $5,000, then this is our fee. Or them saying that based off of your fees, based off of your refund, this is our fee, and it varies year after year based off of how much you're getting back. That is an immediate red flag, because that is unethical. We are not supposed to do that.
Mm-hmm. And do you, I know it's everyone's own personal decision whether they use, I think there's an online service that you can pay, that you can use to prepare your own taxes. How do you feel about programs like that?
Yeah, so I'm all for TurboTax if you have a very simple return. Mm-hmm. If you have a very simple return, and when I say simple, I mean you are going to work and maybe you have one or two children, and it's very simple in that regard. Once you start getting into complicated schedules, you may have rental property, you may have a business now, or your whole you have a business and the entity structure is not an LLC, it may be an S corp or a partnership or something like that. That is when I will advise you to go to a tax professional. However, with the softwares like that, if you have a simple return, then I advise you to do them, because it's going to be fiscally more responsible for you to do that instead of to go to a professional to do a simple return. Now, if you have questions and and that tax preparer may offer consultations or something like that, then take the consultation. Maybe book a consultation, maybe not the service per se, and get some information. No one is going to tell you how to file your tax return. But if you have a simple one, those programs are built for you for simple returns to be able to file them that way. So I'm not against them.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know.
And then I just wanted to add this. There are VITA programs that are stamped by the IRS that if you meet the income requirement, the low income requirement, that you can get your taxes filed for free.
You said the VITA program?
Yes. So the VITA program, there are many in different, so there are probably a few in DC. I know there are a few here. When I attended Morgan, it was actually a part of our curriculum to file returns, and we had the VITA program there, and we actually did live returns for people. They had to fall, within income criteria, but we actually filed their return. So you can go on the IRS website and you can look for different areas where you don't necessarily have to do it. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it may be hard for you to download the software or, operate a computer. We talked about seniors earlier. And so you can take your documents there and they'll file them for you.
A couple, was it last week or a week before, we had Giving Tuesday. Now we have end of year giving. As someone said, people are finding money in the couch. And folks are, trying to get a piece of that. Nonprofit organizations donate to us, by the end of the year. Talk about charitable donations. Is there a limit on that? And I know people are cleaning out their closets and finding old cars that they can donate.
Yeah, well, that's good reason for that, because charitable contributions, you can give up to 60% of your adjusted gross income, your AGI. So for instance, let's put that into actual numbers. If your AGI is $100,000, it's simply saying that you can give in charitable contributions up to $60,000 and be able to write that off. Wow. Now, if you give cash contributions in excess of $250, you do have to have that letter from that charitable organization, and it has to be a nonprofit, a 501c3. You can't just give to what are the places that people use sometimes when they're trying to raise money? I forget the name.
GoFundMe or something like that.
GoFundMe. So it has to be an actual organization that you've given to. And if it's in excess of $250, you have to have a letter. Say, for instance, like when you give your tithes and offerings to churches, right? They send you a letter at the end and you can write that off. So that goes toward that charitable contributions. Now, if it's assets, your car, stocks or things like that, it's limited up to 30%. But that is why people are digging in their couches and finding things to give away, because the limit is very much so large.
Wow. And do those contributions have to be made by a certain time?
By the end of the year.
By December 31st.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. This has been great information, Aneka. I really appreciate you sharing it with us. I'm curious though, how did you get into the tax business?
So I just spoke about going to Morgan, and taxes was not what I was interested in. I actually like completing it, but learning the theory and the law behind it was really it kind of blew my mind. So I did my tenure within accounting. I worked in various industries within accounting. Public accounting is where I got my start. I worked in investments. I worked in the government at the state and the federal level. And internal controls was really my speed. Internal controls is really when you make sure that organizations and businesses have those different controls in place, so there's no fraud, waste, or abuse. However, when I started to venture out on my own, I started to do my own taxes, and people started to ask me, of course, when you start doing something, people will ask you, can you do mine? Can you do mine? And I just started digging into it more. And while I was still at my job, I started my business back in 2016. Okay. And in 2018, I left and I went full throttle. And so that is how I got into it. I just jumped head first into it.
So I know that Watt Business Solutions is just not tax preparation, and I know you've got an event coming up. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So because, like you said, we don't just do taxes, we also work with businesses throughout the year. We provide bookkeeping and accounting services for those businesses. We have a program called Fination, and that is our monthly subscription program. We work with businesses individually, and we do their bookkeeping on a monthly basis. We meet with them quarterly to make sure they're on track to meet their goals for the year. We set goals per quarter. We hold them accountable. We also pull in their quarterly reports every year. We discuss them with them. So we're really making sure that they're on track to meet their goals financially. And so with that, what we have found, and the partners that I have worked with in the panel is all women, all Black women, which I'm excited about. We have developed a workshop that's called BAIL. And BAIL stands for banker, accountant, insurance, and lawyer. And so we have 4 phenomenal women, including myself, who are on the panel who represent BAIL. And on December the 14th or 13th, I can't remember right now. I think it's the 13th. But we are having our workshop, and I'm super excited because it's free. It's free. And so we're going to be discussing, what does banking look like for you? How do you get your business ready to get credit from a business? From a bank, from a lender. With the accounting, of course, we'll be talking about various things that fall into the accounting. Insurance, what does that look like for your small business? And legal. And so all things that businesses need, whether they're starting out or whether they're maintaining or wherever you are in business, you need those 4 things to be the foundation. And so I brought together 3 phenomenal women that I respect, I partner with all the time, and we're super excited.
And is this a virtual?
This is virtual.
Okay.
Yes, this is
they
virtual.
Go to the website, because we have the website down below.
So if they go to Instagram, Watt Biz, if they go to Instagram and they go to the link tree within, it's all over there now. So they go to the link tree, there's a post about it, but the link tree will take you directly to the link to go ahead and register and sign up for it.
Great. Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, it is my pleasure to talk to you today, to give us some tips on how we can hold on to some of our hard-earned money and not give it all to Uncle Sam, although Uncle Sam, I think, needs some of it, particularly here in D.C. But, we don't want to give it all away and to protect that. So thank you very much for sharing these tips with us. And hopefully you have a great conference, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you so much, Denise.
All righty. Have a good one. So, we've had a lot about business and trying to protect our pocketbooks, whether it's our personal pocketbook or the one that we are holding on to for the businesses that we own. And now we're going to move on to talk to our environmental reporter here at the Washington Informer, Kayla Benjamin, who wrote an amazing story this week about an illegal emission statement here in Washington. I said station here in Washington, D.C. Kayla, welcome.
Thank you. Excited to talk about a slightly different kind of green.
Yes.
Here at the end of the show today.
I like that. So let's talk about this emission statement, the story that you did. Bring us up to date on, one, how did you discover this story, and what made you think it was worthy of covering?
Sure. So the basic rundown is that the city made a mistake. And in land that's owned by the National Park Service at Kenilworth Park, the Department of Motor Vehicles, the DMV, wanted to build an emissions test kiosk. So it's one of these machines where you can just kind of plug your car in. There we go. Yes, that's a photo of it. So you can plug your car in and check your emissions and submit it. And it's a great way to not have to go and wait in a long line at the DMV. The city put one in Tacoma Park, or in Tacoma on our side of the border in Ward 4, and it was pretty successful and people really liked it. And so they wanted to put one east of the river, which is a pretty worthy goal. So they asked Department of Parks and Recreation if they could put it on this land in Kenilworth Park, and DPR said yes. But DPR did not have the authority to say yes, and the park is only supposed to be used for recreational purposes.
Mm.
On top of all that, while they built this emissions test kiosk, which is basically just the machine and a small little lot around it, no one contacted any of the neighbors, even though there are houses directly across the street, across Anacostia Avenue. And so Kenilworth, and Eastland Gardens, which is the neighborhood right there, Eastland Gardens residents noticed this, and no one had contacted them that this was being built. And one of the people that I spoke to who lives nearby said that there's a lot of traffic problems in the neighborhood because there's really only one entrance and one exit in the Eastland Gardens, Kenilworth Park area. And so adding more traffic, more cars coming into the neighborhood just to line up their cars was really concerning to residents, and no one had said anything that this was coming. And to begin with, they can't open it because it's illegal. So when residents caught the issue, I didn't catch it. The head of the Civic Association did, and she spoke to me about it. What they said was, this is supposed to be a peaceful oasis for our community. There's supposed to be recreational facilities on this land, not more pollution, more cars, and no one consulted us. And so they looped the National Park Service in, and the National Park Service said, why is this here? This isn't allowed to be here, and they're not going to be able to open it. None of the agencies involved were able to, or were willing to give me an estimate for how much it would cost it will cost to have to move it to another location, hopefully also east of the river. So it really was just a mistake, completely not, no one did the due diligence to make sure they could build this thing until it was already built. And then residents called them out on it.
And it's not only, it seems to me, not only the fact that, it was built on parkland, right? And parkland was being used, like as the tenant association president said, for peaceful, purposes. But now you've got all these cars with emissions. I mean, was that also an environmental impact issue that this machine created as well?
So it could have been. Again, the emission station never opened because residents caught it early enough. And so it's just another thing on the landscape that's there. It's still something that residents east of the river want, an emissions kiosk, because it saves you from having to go to the DMV, and it's a helpful thing. You have to check your emissions and send it to the government every 2 years anyway. Mm-hmm. But having it in this specific area where there's already issues where cars get stuck and are idling along the road in front of homes, and then you would have one more reason for cars to line up and idle, is definitely a pollution issue. And on top of all that, part of the reason that there hasn't been a lot of building on this land is that it used to be a landfill. So Kenilworth Park has a long history with really terrible environmental injustice. And this previous landfill that ended in 1970 was capped. They just put a bunch of soil on top of it, but that does not make it safe. And there's a huge project slowly getting underway after decades of delays to clean up the soil underneath Kenilworth Park in this area. And because of that project that's like upcoming, should be, I think, completed over the next 5 years, they can't build anything new on it. So there used to be a rec center. They got rid of the rec center, put a new rec center nearby, and they can't build anything else on the land until it's cleaned up. But they just missed that when it came to repaving and adding this machine to this land. And again, there's not necessarily any particular environmental impact there because it's a pretty small project, but none of the neighbors were informed. So when they saw crews digging, people thought, like, wait, this is polluted soil. What are you doing digging this up?
Wow. What is the ideal location for one of those stations?
That's a great question that I could not get an answer to from any of the agencies involved. Mm-hmm. My expectation would be that they put it near, in like a parking lot near a rec center, which is what they did in Tacoma. because if the district already owns the land, then it's much easier to like build something on it. I would also think that a good location for an emissions test kiosk is somewhere where traffic is moving relatively freely, or there's a big enough parking lot that if cars have to line up, they're lining up outside of the road instead of being forced into the road, especially near residential homes.
So are they looking now for a new location, or and did they remove the kiosk, or what's the situation now?
That's another great question. The National Park Service, in their reply to me, said that the DMV and DPR were going to look for another, quote, non-park location in Ward 7, but neither DPR nor DMV confirmed with me that they knew where they were going to relocate it yet. So they're still, I assume, looking, but they do plan to relocate the kiosk. However, it's really unclear how long that would take, because now that the National Park Service is aware of this installation on its land, there will have to be a whole new round of red tape, bureaucracy, paperwork in order to do the construction required just to remove the kiosk and break down the site. So it's really, really not clear how long it will take or how much money it will take.
You have any idea, Kayla, what the economic impact was as well? I mean, how much did it cost for the district to build this kiosk, and now they're going to have to take it down? And I know you talked about the expense, and to relocate it. I mean, how much, if are we talking about financially for the city?
So it's not a huge project. The original machine, the first machine in Tacoma, was $300,000, and that was in 2019. So it's probably potentially a little bit more expensive now. But then there's also expenses involved in paving and putting up signs and painting the kind of the lines around it. So it's probably not a super expensive project. But what kind of raised my eyebrows about it was that it was totally, the waste of it was completely preventable if someone had just caught the legal issue, or if they had engaged community members earlier in the process.
Yeah. Do you find, and I know we've run out of time now, but you've done a lot of environmental issues, and you've seen some other examples of environmental injustices, and I'm just wondering if this is kind of, I don't know, par for the course of what happens, particularly in Black and brown neighborhoods, that they do just come and put stuff in places without communicating with people who are pretty savvy. If they really knew they knew what's going on, they know what's in their neighborhood and what's right and wrong. But is this kind of symbolic of what we see a lot when it comes to environmental injustice issues?
I think the short answer is yes. There are just a lot of patterns of neglect for the community outreach that would help to both accomplish the goal more quickly and allow neighbors to have real input in what goes in their neighborhoods. I will say that some of the people I spoke to for this story did feel like the Department of Parks and Recreation especially has gotten really a lot better about being engaged with the community and responsive to community needs. As soon as this was brought to to the National Park Service's attention, like all three agencies were like, "Yep, okay, we won't do it." And since the Department of Parks and Recreation was re-informed that they had management over part of this land, they have been really good about addressing neighbors' needs when asked. But the environmental justice problem and the patterns more broadly, a lot of times have to do with being proactive instead of waiting for people to report a pothole or explain that there are no recycling bins anywhere in Kenilworth Park. They have to wait for someone to report that to them before they'll fix it, as opposed to being proactive about gaining community input before the kiosk is sitting on the land where it's not allowed to sit.
It makes a lot of sense. Kayla Benjamin, environmental reporter for the Washington Informer. I am so glad you were able to join us and to share the story with us. If any of you all who are watching, have some questions about some environmental issues that may be taking place in your community, don't call Kayla now. Wait till after the holidays, but reach out to her. Can we share your email address with our viewers? Because you're always looking for those stories that you can amplify and help to make an impact to support communities. And that's, you can tell us.
Yes, absolutely. You can reach me at kbenjamin@washingtoninformer.com. And I'll say it one more time, kbenjamin@washingtoninformer.com. Please reach out, even if you just have something that you think maybe isn't a huge issue in your neighborhood. I might have heard the same thing in neighborhoods across the city, and putting together that pattern can be really, really important. So let me know what you see going on in your neighborhood.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much, Kayla. Great having you with us today. Happy holidays. I know you have a special date that kicks off today, I believe. So wishing you the best.
Lit my first candles last night. It was great.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. All right. Well, have a great one. And all righty. Well, that brings us to the end of this broadcast. We're not sure if we have any private chat. We do. Who do we have? Winners of tickets in the private chat. Who are they? Oh, but I don't see the winners of the tickets.
Pamela Gordon.
Was it Pamela? Okay, great. Pamela Gordon.
Robert Dwayne Bush.
And Robert Dwayne Bush. Okay.
It's 5, right?
We have 5 tickets. So why don't we just say, Pam, you bring 2, and Robert, you can bring 2, and that'll work, right?
Okay.
So we just need to be able to reach out to you. So call us at actually, I prefer if you would email us at news@washingtoninformer.com. That's NEWS@washingtoninformer.com, and we will let you know how we can get those tickets to you. With that, we will see you next week. We have a really great weekend ahead of us until Sunday. So take advantage of the outdoors. Don't forget to do some, if you're doing your holiday shopping, please consider buying black first. And we will see you this time next year. And also next week, we will also have a great conversation with, speaking of AARP DC State Director Lewis Davis will be with us next week. And of course, we're also going to have some other great guests. So have a great weekend, and I'll see you soon.